to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I am your host, Aiden Ragland, and I just want to say sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for the support in the last episode. The fact that you guys came out in droves, enjoyed a quality episode with Senior Pelo, it really means a lot. But now that October is over, why don't we go ahead and kick off today's episode with something sweet, hot, and fresh from the oven. Today's guest is Cookie Doe, an artist and drag queen with a sensational style and bombastic personality to boot. This was a guest that was recommended to me by my wonderful co-showrunner, TipsyJHearts, and honestly, the conversation that you're about to hear really lived up to the expectations. Like, seriously, Cookie was a fantastic guest, which, for both the funny stuff that we talk about, but also the serious stuff that we talk about, considering, you know, like I said, she's a drag queen. That was something that we obviously had to address, considering the world's stance on drag queen stuff. But regardless, I sincerely think it is a fantastic conversation that you guys are going to absolutely love and enjoy today. If you enjoy Cookie Doe, please make sure you support her with the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff and you know it warms my heart. And speaking of my co-showrunner, TipsyJHearts, if you guys have not already, I highly recommend you check out the Indiegogo for The Evil Little Thing. This is a project that Tipsy has been wanting to make for years, and we are going forward to try to raise funds to make the pilot a reality, and we need your help. Please check out the link in the description below if you want to see an incredible adult animated horror comedy starring a demon goat causing chaos to suburbia. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. There you go.
There we go. Boom. Hi, baby.
Hello, hello, hello. That is wonderfully done, if I do say so myself.
Thank you. I try to do a little postmodern pop art for you guys.
Look, it's not the first time I've said this. Just because we're called the Postmodern Art Podcast doesn't mean we really emphasize postmodern art.
Well, honestly, I loved it because I've been trying to push myself and do different makeup looks. So I was like, let's try it out and see what happens. So, well, but thank you.
Yeah, I think you're certainly rocking it more than anything else. I don't think I've really seen many people really... Well, I've seen some here and there, but like you're really getting that aesthetic down more than anything else.
Thank you.
You are certainly welcome. How are you doing today, by the way?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really great. It was a beautiful day. You know, I was excited, looking forward to this. So a little eager, but not too bad. How about yours?
It was pretty good. Kind of a low energy kind of day. I just got off of a live stream about an hour or so ago. It's where me and some group of friends were raising money for breast cancer awareness. So there you go.
I hope it went very well.
We raised like $700. So yeah.
Yes. Congratulations.
Absolutely. I was kind of surprised by it because, like, don't get me wrong, they're more of like a lesser known like streaming group or whatnot, and like when we were starting and whatnot, like it's you know, calm casual vibes, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people started coming in. One person donated $100, one person that we all knew donated like $300 in one go. I'm like, how do you have this money?
You know what? It's crazy. I worked in nonprofits for a little bit, and the amount of people who actually have a savings to put towards nonprofits and donations and things like that is actually really impressive that a lot of people do that. So that's probably where they all get it from.
That is probably the truth. But regardless, I was just surprised but grateful that, you know, we got a decent turnout and people were more than willing to help out, you know, save the nipples and all stuff like that.
Absolutely. If you would have told me, I would have brought them today.
Duly noted for the extra special episode. Man, now I'm joking.
Modern podcast after dark.
There you go. It's the post show, you know. Sincerely, thank you for being able to sit down and do this, even on such short notice. It's one of those, like, we were kind of scrambling because we had a guest drop out last minute, and Tipsy was the one that recommended me to you. Which I was genuinely surprised, but I was also kind of honored, partially because you would be the first time we'd ever have a drag queen on this podcast, and like that's something that I've wanted to have on the podcast. Talk about that just as an art form on its own, because I'm sure you could probably attest to it with how you got prepared for today. It's a whole process just to look this good.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah, when Tipsy reached out to me, I was like, absolutely. I got nothing going on Sunday. Well, I was like, first, let me check. And then when I saw my schedule was clear, I was like, absolutely. Let's do it. I love meeting new people and just being able to chit chat and just, shoot the shit, if you will.
Amen to that. If I may ask, just out of the blue, how do you know Tipsy before? Like, is it just like she's followed you beforehand, and that was just a moment or whatnot, or?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I might have met them at a lunar fair. I might have met them at a show.
Okay.
To be honest, I'd have to go back and see, but I'm pretty sure it's just through Instagram.
Well, regardless, I'm glad that the connection was made, and I'm glad you're able to take time to be here, because I can tell this is going to be a very fun conversation, just even going through your stuff from the past or whatnot. Like, I think we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I like to do, is have some fun. And also, sorry, Tipsy, if we met before and I'm not recalling.
There we go. All right, Cookie, before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations. You're not stranded on an island. It's like a little island vacation away from everything, just by yourself.
Okay.
To help make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Ooh, that is a great question. I've never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I would have to go with the simplicity of paper and a writing utensil.
Paper and writing utensil. Okay.
Yeah. And hear me out, because here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking long term and just anything, because I can use it to draw. Mm-hmm. I can use it to write music if I was into that. I can use it to document my time there. To me, I really like to be grounded and be one with nature. So I rather sit outside and listen to that and write it all down. So I think outside the box, that would be my answer, is a pen and paper. Pen and paper.
I mean, that's very valid, especially like you said, if you like to be out in nature, kind of absorbing yourself in that natural, beautiful, lush environment, and then just kind of translating it onto pencil and paper one way or another. I mean, that's a great way of both really taking in the environment, but also exercising your art skills.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's taking it back to the old school, the original, how a lot of people start their art is with the pen and paper. And I think instead of jumping to the end, let's start at the beginning, because if I'm on a vacation, I'm here to enjoy. I'm not here to anything like that. So yeah, beautiful simplicity. Plus I really like to draw and journal a lot too. So I think that would be my biggest thing.
Good. But if that's the case, then I think we can easily agree. The classic pencil and paper. That's your answer. You're locking that in.
Yes, I'm locking that. Lock it in, baby, please.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. The Evil Little Thing is currently having their Indiegogo campaign. Be sure to support that or spread the word if you can. Link to that will be in the description below. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. She is an artist and drag queen with a sensational style and bombastic personality to boot. Welcome to the podcast, Cookie Doe!
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Cookie Doe, yeah. Cookie Doe, Cookie Doe.
Who's hungry, batches?
There you go. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic now that I'm getting an opportunity to sit down and chat with you. Like I said in our little preamble part more than anything else, even on such short notice, the instant I saw what you were producing and the stuff you're kind of presenting, I knew this was going to be an interesting conversation because I just instantly loved your presentation more than anything else, and it's something that we'll definitely divulge a lot more into. But before we really divulge to the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Cookie, or maybe the person behind it, whatever you want to indulge me with. What got you interested in art in the first place?
Oh, my parents for sure.
Okay.
My parents for sure, but also I would have to say just me in general always being kind of drawn to artistic things, whether it was drawing, whether it was painting, singing, even though I don't have a singing voice, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I just like to have a good time, and my parents growing up were like that as well. They were all about having a great time. I mean, my dad is known for being the first guy on the dance floor and the last one off. Growing up, I like to say sometimes he's the one that introduced drag to me, because he
Okay.
was part of the fire department, and we used to go to these parades, and he would always dress up in these crazy outfits, bikinis and wolf masks, dresses, and like witches, like crazy things all the time. Yeah, right. And so we would also dress up too. I remember growing up dressed up as Dalmatians and things like that. So I've always lived in a very artistic home.
Okay.
My mother likes to paint as well. I used to grow up sitting at the table while she was doodling. I was doodling right next to her, trying to be like, "Ooh, how do you do that? Okay, cool." So little things like that. So that's really kind of my start of getting into art.
I mean, it's always good, especially at that young of age, to kind of have that like creative force like present in your parents. Because I know, you can probably see this in some bits of society, but sometimes that like artistic creative venture is really squashed, especially early on, when people be like, "Yeah, get real. That's not where the money is." Da 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 da. So to hear that,
Yeah.
like for you that early on, like it was a true driving force. Like especially thinking back, that's gotta be almost like elating in the long term, seeing where you are now.
Oh, absolutely. I thank my parents all the time. And I thank the universe all the time for my amazing parents and the life they've given me, the opportunities, the lessons that I've learned with them, and just allowing me to always be 100% authentically me. Because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today, to be honest.
Well, there you go. So, speaking of the person that you are today, when did it go from just like a general introduction and love for art to a passion and potentially making it your career?
Probably a few years ago, when I started to really practice doing makeup and doing like really diving into the drag culture
Okay.
and understand drag and playing drag more. I was always very shy growing up and a little like nervous. Like I've always wanted to step out of the box, and I have stepped out of the box a lot of times, but a lot of times I'm a little bit more reserved just because of growing up in the everyday atmosphere of just, if you were a little bit, like you kind of said it a few moments ago, artistic, then you're viewed differently, you're treated differently, especially being part of the LGBT QIA plus community.
Mm-hmm.
There's that too. The bullying, I guess you can say, things like that. So I was always scared to jump into that. But about 5 years ago, I started getting into makeup and sitting in my bedroom just practicing. And then next thing I know, my partner was like, "Hey, I think, why don't you try doing this? And why don't you try doing that?" And, kind of pushed me to get where I'm going to. So he was also part of the reason why my art started to come out. And then once I opened that door, I was like, paradise. This is what I want to do. I love this. I find so much joy and happiness in not only for myself, but what I bring to others out in the world and the universe. So
I mean, absolutely. I can only imagine, especially with, ironically enough, the blank canvas that could be the human face, like really exploring how you can really let that showcase on full blast. Like, it makes me curious, like, what is it about makeup that like really wanted you to creep towards that and really explore that as a venture?
yeah, to throw it out there, I'm a Virgo. So, and as a Virgo, we like change.
Okay.
And I am very true to that. I love change. So, this is going to be like a two-part question. So, sorry if I jump ahead, but we'll go ahead and explain how the name Cookie kind of came into play too,
Okay.
and why I got into makeup, because I like change. So, for me, I like being able to be masculine and feminine. I like being able to wake up and get dressed and do what I need to feel however I'm feeling that day. So I got into drag and makeup a lot because I wanted to be able to change myself. I didn't want to be the same person every day, wearing the same thing, doing the same thing over and over again. To me, I don't like mundane things. So I like the change of it. I like being able to come into my room and be like, okay, am I feeling glamorous today? Am I feeling horror today? Am I feeling, pop art, anything like that? And the best part about makeup is that you said it best in the question, is that my face is my canvas. So I get to practice on that, but the biggest thing I get to practice and the most important thing I get to practice is self-love.
There you
Because
go.
in moments of doing my makeup, I'm learning what I'm finding beautiful in my features and in my face and in my body and in my drag. And that's allowing me to become a lot more confident to be the person I am today.
I mean, I can only imagine that. Like, it's something that, like, I don't know if you could tell from this beautiful mug myself, but I don't practice, makeup that often or at all. But I can imagine if I took time to really, like, define, like, what, like, the blemishes and stuff that I have on my face, what I could do to either punctuate what's there or to try to lighten up and, like, brighten up what is there. I can imagine that a lot of self-love would be present for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that goes for any art. I mean, really, whether it's your makeup or your singing or your drawing or even digital art nowadays. I mean, I feel like that's a big thing we have to start, understanding and including in all these conversations, because digital art is art and, it is the way of the future and things like that. But yeah, self-love is huge. Doing your makeup, you really fall in love with yourself. Practice and drag, you really learn to find out what you like and what you don't like. It's really interesting how doing makeup has opened up a lot of doors internally for me to grow into the person that I really wanted to be. And now here I am, still growing into that person, but I'm here making the strides I need to.
Well, that's fantastic hearing. Hey, why don't we just delve right into it? Because, like I said, and again, the preamble or whatnot, this is the first time I'm getting the opportunity to talk to a drag queen on this podcast. So I'm genuinely curious. Obviously, in the first place, what was it about the world of drag that really brought you into it? What made you want to be a part of it in the first place?
It's who I am. I love being masculine and feminine, as I said earlier. I like entertaining. I like dressing up. I like being a persona, whether that's for fun and laughing, whether that's for, being an inspirational person to not only children, but young adults and seniors and everything like that. It's just putting on this makeup and putting on a wig and an outfit and just stepping out and seeing how many people are truly inspired by you. It really just makes it like, it becomes addicting. It's so much fun because it's like, I love people, I love entertaining, so why not be able to do it all at once and, feed two birds with one scone? So that's why I really kind of got into it.
I never heard it phrased like that. Feed two birds with one scone. That's a fun one.
I'm a filthy vegan, so I like to be mindful of what I say.
Oh, a filthy vegan. Okay, if that's the case, thank you for your time. This has been a wonderful pot. No, I'm joking.
Eat your vegetables, bitches.
No, I'm joking. I respect those that go with that lifestyle as well as the drag lifestyle. Obviously, I mean that's why I wanted to have you on here. I mean, especially with such a fun personality that you more or less presented yourself with this Cookie Doe. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that the drag world has known for some unique names if you take the chance to look and dive deep into it. But why was Cookie Doe your choice, and how did you embrace this character?
Yeah, so there's two main reasons why Cookie Doe was a choice. Well, three actually. The first one is growing up, my mother's best friend was named Cookie, and I always kind of looked up to her. I loved her as a person. She was always friendly, very outgoing, very warm and welcoming. So I really loved that. Reason number two is because of the marketing. I just love being clever. So I was like, what's a fun name that I can do things like, I go, hey, batches, or stay sweet, don't get crumbled, check your diabetes before you bite into this cookie, bitch, things like that, right? But things like that. And then the other reason is because, to me, who doesn't love cookie? Right. Who doesn't love a form of cookie? But also as well, there's so many different types of cookies out there that I'm able to just kind of be who I want to be and not have to feel like I need to fit into these parameters sometimes. Because sometimes I feel like sometimes artists will lock themselves into, that's awful, will fence themselves into like a certain thing because they're trying to be a certain aesthetic or a certain genre. Right. Whereas me, I want to be the jack of all trades and the king of nothing, the queen of nothing, if you will.
That's a good way of looking at it more than anything else. And I'm sorry to go ahead and put you on the spot when it comes to this, but you brought it up. I have to ask, what is your favorite cookie?
Oh, so many. But my all-time favorite cookie is the Italian rainbow cookie. Uh,
Ooh, okay.
yeah,
It's a good choice.
delicious. 3 layers with the raspberry and the chocolate. I love it. So, but I mean, pizzelles. I grew up in a very Italian household, and my grandmother
Uh,
is known to be the chef of all chefs in not only our family, but in the whole town she lives in, because she would always just feed and have people over. So I grew up with constant cookies around us, the Italian cookies, all homemade and things like that. So that's kind of also the reason why, is because my grandmother has such a special spot in my heart that it's kind of paying homage to her as well.
well, that's a sweet way of looking at it, both
Thank you.
figuratively and literally. It's
Yeah.
sweet to look at it like that.
I really thought this out about this name.
I can tell. Like, I can only imagine how much planning you really put into this character, just even in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the name is what goes into it, and the rest is just about the looks. But as for that, I'm just here having a good time. I'm not, sometimes a lot of artists kind of hone in one thing. I'm trying to just do it all and see what I can and can't do. And if I'm not good at it, I'll keep practicing and see where it gets me from there. I don't want to. I don't like to limit myself. I really like to live with the door open and having options of being able to do whatever I'm feeling like doing.
Absolutely. The more you talk about like the thought you put into your character and stuff like that, this is gonna be a potentially weird analogy. But you see, I'm a wrestling fan. Like I love like the WWE and that kind of lifestyle and stuff like that. So I imagine like drag is kind of in a way like there's a very closer connection to drag and wrestling than you think. I mean, there's these people that embrace personas that they might not present otherwise, or it's maybe just them elevated to a level 10 to where they think of incredible like backstories or like sentimental reasons why they chose like a name or a certain
Yeah.
thing, something along the lines of that. I mean, obviously they're dressing up themselves, they're presenting themselves to a gigantic audience and trying to put on a good show, and everyone's trying to have fun. Like I imagine for you, like it in a way it's very similar. It's kind of one of those like you get an opportunity to dress up, you get to really go out there, entertain the masses, and just have a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit it. That's drag right there. Wrestling, what I do, what, the COO of Colgate does, what the president of the United States does. We're all just dressing up for a persona or a position or a character to fulfill. So that way we are making ourselves feel good, right? When you think about it, when you break it down, we're all doing it. You do it today just for the podcast. I'm sure you got dressed thinking, okay, what's something I want to wear comfortable or look good in or feel good in for my podcast, things like that. Like that's what drag is that you're taking these things that make you feel good and you are what? Dragging it out to become something bigger and better for you. Back in the day when maybe drag first started, drag used to represent dress to resemble a gender, but now it's just dress to resemble who you are and what you want to be and what you are embodying. Manifestation and embodiment is the biggest things to help you achieve the goals you want.
Absolutely. And I think from what I've been able to see, you've been doing a really good job presenting that to the fullest on your end with obviously Cookie Doe. I mean, once again, kind of joking, but also seriously, like it's very sweet how you've been able to have all these thoughts, put it out there. It's such a fun persona more than anything else. Like I can only imagine for you, how invigorating is it for you to do this feel? How invigorating is it for you to be able to go out there dressed up in dressed up makeup and everything and just have a fun time?
Oh, it's grounding for me. It fills my heart with so much love. It's so exciting because my own personal experience with it is like there's hundreds of people that I've met, thousands of people I've met because, of my shows and my connection with Lunar Fair and things like that, that people literally will reach out to me. The other day I was at a performance and a little girl, seeing me perform a few months ago, came up and gave me a gift. And what it was a book about drag queens, a children's books about drag queen. And when I opened it, she signed it and it said, "Dear Cookie Doe, I love you, love Penelope." So
Aww.
It's having things like that where like you get your love and your cup filled not only from your own family and friends but from strangers is really, really invigorating. It's hard to put to words, to be honest, because it's like, to be honest, I don't want to come off very like egotist and be like, oh, people and it's great. But it's true. I walk around the Lunar Fair and everyone's like, Cookie, Doe, we love you. The kids run up to me. The adults run up to me. People always want to take pictures. It's so much fun. Yeah. It's so fun to just be who you are, and people are celebrating you and loving you, because like I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to mention now. But like for me, I'm not trying to fulfill a character or a persona. This is Cookie's me. Cookie's my feminine side of my whole embodiment. There's my masculine side, which is Michael, and then there's my feminine side, which is Cookie. So it's like when I go out, I'm just me being like, hey, what's up? How's it going? So yeah, it's very long answer short. It's amazing.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, Cookie, for you, it goes back to what I was talking about with the wrestling thing. Like, for a lot of people with these personas that they present or whatnot, it's just them turned up to 11 more than anything else. Like, this is like what I'm seeing right now is just the feminine side of you just turned up to the fullest, like really showcasing to the world, this is who I am. You love me.
Yes, exactly. Right. Thank you. You said it best.
I try to think that I can speak very eloquently on the situation. But like it honestly makes sense, because I mean, like, especially with the opportunity that drag presents, like there's not gonna, without drag, I cannot think of many opportunities for you to be able to really put yourself out there like to the fullest like this. But like with drag, it's a true outlet for you to really exhibit the creativity and the femininity that you have into the fullest. And like, especially in a wonderful world that is drag, you can see so many people like see that love and appreciate that love and passion you have for essentially yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And one of my favorite things about doing drag too is all the other queens who are doing the same thing I am, that are feeling the same thing I am, that are putting in the work that I am or more, and being able to build a bigger community together. Because you're right, there's not much that I can do without the drag community, and I'm very grateful for it. And however, it's like something that, we're constantly working on, because it is new and still becoming accepting, and it's still becoming, I hear it all the time from my own family. Sometimes my brother, he's not very fond of it because I read a book to a child in a dress. But guess what? There's a lot worse things going on out there. Yes. And, for us in the drag world, all we're trying to do is just be a ray of light. Just have some fun. Come dance, come drink, come have fun, come listen to a book, whatever. Let's just have a good time. There's so much going on in the world. The last thing we need to do is continue to add fuel to the fire.
Absolutely. I was going to say, like, I'm sure it's hard to ignore, especially with you being in the pit of the flame that is the drag world, but it's kind of hard to kind of ignore kind of how society is trying to attack the drag world at this point, which is like upsetting, because it's not like you guys are going out there and like trying to cause chaos. You guys are just trying to have a good time and trying to get everyone involved to have a great time.
I kid you not. The reason people are starting this is because they are uneducated, or they are unaware or unexperienced in how this works. Mm-hmm. Because they hear, oh, drag queens are people who perform in bars half naked. They now think everybody who's a drag queen performs half naked in bars. That's not how this works. No. It's not. There's like, I always say, and I reference this a lot, everything in the world, everything in the universe is on a spectrum. And there are different levels of things, and that's like drag. Yeah, there are some people, and include myself, where we're in bars dancing, in lingerie and heels and things like that. But we also are aware of how to read the room and read the crowd and understand the assignment for what gigs we're being booked for. Because at the end of the day, people are reaching out to us and telling us, hey, so yeah, I can go to a nightclub and do that. I can also go to a library or a bookstore and read a book to a child in a gown and not pertain the same message. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Pertain the same message. Thank you. As as a nightclub look, because a lot of times I feel like it's so frustrating, because everyone will pick one thing about what we do in the drag community and kind of tunnel vision on it. Whereas like if you want to do that with other careers and things like that, I mean, it's all the same. It's simply cops. Why do they have guns? Why are children around guns? Why are children around parents who are making love in their own house and the walls are paper thin? Hello, it's not. It's why are your children dressing up in half cheerleading uniforms or football uniforms or things like that? That's where it all comes from, and to be picked apart in the drag community, as I digress, it's frustrating. So that's why we need to stick together to do what we need to do.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, like, on the flip side, like when it comes to the people that are coming out and attacking you guys, like, they're like, well, obviously they're trying to indoctrinate the kids, blah 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 blah. Like, you're not gonna be doing that with like movies and stuff like that. Like, you clearly know when a movie is not made for a kid, so you're not going to take that kid to that movie. Just like with certain drag shows, if they are gonna have a situation like you were talking about, in the bar, half naked, stuff like that, you guys gotta make sure to advertise, hey, this is not for kids. Keep the kids away. If the parents bring the kids to the bar, I have several questions for that parent in the first place.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly what I mean. It's so frustrating because they're just pinpointing on things like that. And, I've actually had a serious situation where I did a story hour back a few months ago in Montgomery, New York, and I was receiving death threats. I was receiving phone calls. I was almost doxxed. They literally took a picture of me and made a yard sign and said, "No more monkeys in our bed." Things like that. Like, yeah, they will do anything. But luckily, these people are yet again uneducated because they bought tickets to my show and they forgot to use a different email address. And not only was it just an email address, it was the local trophy-making business that bought the tickets. So now we know who owns that business is now the one behind all this, doing all this.
Wow.
And I'm the type of woman where I love to serve things nice and hot. So, what do? I screenshot his email address. He bought 3 tickets and I tagged Pop's Trophy, Montgomery, New York. Thank you for your support, guys. Called them out on Facebook. I said, hey guys, thank you for your 3 tickets and supporting the local drag queens. It's great to see a local business support the LGBTQIA community. Deleted. Then they continued to do things like that. And that yard sign I told you they made about, a business put that yard sign in front of their business. So I called that business and I said to him, hi, my name's Cookie Doe. I'm the girl on that poster in your front yard. I'm very confused about this because it says no more monkeys in our bed, and there's a gentleman dressed as a monkey holding me. So I'm not the monkey. I must be like a banana. So are you saying drag is appealing?
But
and the yard sign was gone. So it's honestly, it's finding that silver lining. And just serving it right back, because sometimes they can't do situations like that. Like now we know your whole business is in support of this, no matter what you're going to say. And like they were the ones that were behind the TikToks being made of me, the Instagram accounts. They were taking videos and photos of me on my Instagram and trying to use them against me. And everyone's like, she's beautiful. What's wrong with this? I don't see what's wrong. And then, of course, there's others who are just as silly as they are. They're like, oh, that's a man in a dress. Look at his shoulders, blah, blah, blah. It's like, please, bitch. My shoulders are shorter than your wife, so back up.
Well, I guess I guess you could say that whenever the time comes and you need to step up, you like to give everyone their just desserts,
That's it, baby. I love it. I'm stealing that.
No, take it. Just make sure I get half the proceeds if you put that on. No, I'm joking.
Fair enough. I'll give you some. Don't worry. I like to share.
No, but I mean, regardless, like it's good to know that you're actually going, especially. I assume the longer you've been in this field, you've really had to develop more or less a thick skin when it comes to certain situations like that. But like, you're just letting some kind of this stuff slide off your shoulder and really taking a stand when stuff like that is happening, and just letting people know we're just trying to have fun.
Yeah, literally. I mean, my thick skin comes from my childhood. I grew up in a very sarcastic, very open family. So it was always like our way of showing love is like throwing digs at each other and joking around, like, oh, well, what'd you do to your hair? Well, your hair looks like a rat's nest, things like that. So it's like I kind of grew up in that already. And then also just like the situations at school where people just, childhood bullies and things like that, where, we're all children, we make fun of each other. Like, I'm not going to say I wasn't not perfect because, we're children. We don't know what's better from right from wrong,
right.
So sorry, Tim, I did too. But, so it's really interesting. I forgot where I was going with this.
Talking about having like the thick skin growing up and that kind of
thick skin. Yeah, so childhood and all that stuff. Yes, thank you. So my thick skin comes from that. So I learned to just kind of understand that words are words and they only have power if you give them power. And so for me, I only allow what resonates with me and what uplifts me and what brings me up in, and what doesn't, that shield is up. Good try, bounces right off. See you later.
Basically, look, I grew up in a very similar household. Like, it's to the point to where I straight up tell people that try to take a dig at me, like, look, what you said is nothing compared to the bad stuff that my dad has said to me.
Right? I mean, my parents not so much. It's more my brothers and my brother, my sisters.
Right.
But oh my God, the awful things my brother would say to me. Jesus, my thick skin's because of him. He's crazy.
I might keep this in or I might edit this out, but one of my favorite stories to tell is like my dad had just gotten home from work and I was like 9-10 years old and I was just like running my mouth like crazy talking about pointless BS that any 9-year-old or 10-year-old would talk about, just like any sort of thing. And again, my dad, he worked like construction, stuff like that, like concrete cutting, so like he's tired, he's exhausted, like he's just trying to relax, just do his thing. And like my brother was there for some reason. I just kept talking. My dad just looked at me, she was like, will you shut your dick licker for God's sakes?
I love that too. Not your dick licker. Yeah. That's my new favorite.
Still one of my favorite phrases that he has ever said.
I love that.
He's like, I work with him nowadays because we both work at the same warehouse now, and like he's one of those people to where like around the workplace everyone knows who he is because he will dig at everyone, including himself. Like, he's that kind of personality,
Yeah. My dad's very similar, where he's not that kind of, he knows everybody because my dad somehow is like the mayor of everything he does.
Okay.
Everybody knows my father. Somehow we were in Alabama on a family vacation, and somehow we saw some guy he went to high school with.
Oh, wow.
And my dad grew up in New York, so it's kind of like, it's like crazy. But yeah, I mean, we all kind of, as you say, that makes me think of like, as I get older, I realize how much I'm like my parents.
I know, right? That's the thing that I both appreciate because of how good they,
And I'm terrified.
Exactly.
And I'm terrified.
Well, I imagine. Oh, sorry. I imagine, especially like the further you get along, especially as you get really immerse yourself more into this world of drag, like it how much of yourself you really put into it. So I'm like genuinely curious, like when it comes to the way you want to present yourself, especially with Cookie Doe, like what is the process for you when you're getting dressed up in drag? Like, whether it be like the original concept itself or just the actual process itself of looking as flawless as you do.
Thank you. For me, it's just how I just want to make sure I feel good as I'm getting ready. I'm just like, I listen to my music and I try to pick my outfit out so it kind of like fits the song or the words or something like that. So it kind of connects it all together visually and audibly. Now, you know what I mean? Visual and audio. Yeah.
I get what you're getting at.
But for my process, I like to listen to just some music, sometimes just silence. I really love to just be in the moment and like in my own thoughts as I'm doing my makeup to really concentrate. But a lot of times just listen to music and just get myself in that, that glamorous feel, that confident feel, that almost that like superwoman feel or Superman feel or just superpower, I should say. Because it really is. It's anybody who put a wig and some makeup on and watch how much your confidence goes through the roof. It is unbelievable. But yeah.
I mean, like it's incredible to know that like for you it's just more or less like kind of understanding the vibe you want to go with and really embracing that vibe to the fullest, especially
Yeah.
in this. Because I can only imagine that like that may not be the process for everyone. I can only imagine with being in the world and seeing how certain people like sort of get ready or whatnot. Like it has to be interesting, like being backstage at a drag show. Like that's one of the things I've always wanted to see immersive stuff. Like, was it kind of what you were expecting, especially when you first got into this world of drag? Like, what was your experience when you first like decided to fully step into this world?
My experience was very interesting. So how can this begin? Because it's so growing up in Ohio, I came out of the closet at the age of 24.
Okay.
But prior to that, my really good friend of growing up in Ohio was a lesbian, but also a drag king.
Oh.
And so this was back in like 2003 to 2000. Nope. 2008 to like 2012, I'd probably say, but a little bit longer too. She got into drag. So my introduction to drag was the local bars in Youngstown, Ohio, which was really cool because like there was 3 gay bars in Youngstown. There was one in Akron, one in, Cleveland and Pittsburgh were only an hour away. So it was really eye-opening. I was never really a fan of drag when I was younger because I was always under what the influence of society said instead of allowing the influence of what the art is to persuade my opinion was. So I was always like, oh, a man in a wig, weird. Oh, he's talking about titties and he's a man, how weird. And now I'm like, my titties. So it was really interesting then because it's like, I got introduced because I was almost like a assistant hand to my friend who was a drag artist. So I got to see her get ready and things like that. But there are each performance and each time I go out and everywhere I perform is always a different experience based on who's there, because there's so much that factors into that. Hey, what's everyone's feeling today? Are they happy? Are they cranky? Are they tired? Are they sad? Or whatever it is, Also, how are these people? There are people who are very, bitchy. There are very people who are very welcoming. There are very people who are very shy. There are people who, so it all depends on who's there and who can help influence it backstage. But, I'm getting digressed now because there's so much going in my head.
I mean, that's valid.
I'm just like, there's like so much to it because it's like I had a different experience of it when I was younger compared to what I do now, right? Because for me, now I'm able to control what the environment is because of who I'm bringing to my shows, the atmosphere that I get to create by being the first one there. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Where are you from? That's the biggest thing I do is when I'm at my shows, I try to make people feel welcome. Right. I try to make people understand that you came to this show to see me. So now I want to make sure I'm giving you at least 5 seconds of time to say, hi, how are you? Thank you for coming, because the more I do that, the more I understand, the more connections I make with people, the more people are likely to come back to shows and the more likely they are to show their full support and not just the follow, if that makes sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense. Like, obviously they went there for the experience of it. Like the bare minimum of what you want to do is hopefully fulfill that the bare minimum when it comes to like what they expect in the first place, And yeah. I mean, like, I can imagine not just with the makeup aspect when it comes to the art, but like drag as a whole is an entire art form when it comes to like how things are set up, the performance aspect, really trying to get not only the butts in the seats but really enjoying the show. Like, how, like, for those that may be curious, how would you describe more or less drag as an art form as a whole?
Oh, it's amazing. It's for me, I went to school for hospitality, and I did event planning for 16 plus years, and then I got into drag. So for me, it's what I love doing. I love planning things out. I love booking peep talent. I love looking for new things. I love, trying to come up, okay, what kind of show we want to do. For me, I don't like to do too much theme shows because drag is an art form and I want people to showcase their art, how they want to showcase it, not what the theme is, right? So for me, it's allowing that kind of situation. So overall, drag for me, it's amazing because it's everything I love to do. I love to plan things out. I love to have fun. I love to dress up, and I love all eyes on me. So it's really a amazing experience. And even those who don't really like that full attention, I have a friend who's, a little bit more shy and they love doing drag because of it helps them step out of their boundaries and their comfort zone to really understand who they are. I mean, it all comes back to just learning and growing to who you are, if you will.
Absolutely. And ironically enough, you're not the first person that I've talked to that has a history in hospitality. I had a previous guest. His name is Christian Carrion. He is a lead writer for Buzzard Blog, hosted his own podcast called Stranger Than Christian, now hosting a podcast where he brings on former game show contestants, asking them about their experience called Tell Us What You Won, or Tell Us About Yourself. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, he's an incredible person. But I mean, you can easily test this as someone that also worked in hospitality. Like, it's a whole entire process, just like juggling everything all at once. So I can imagine, I imagine how I'm not gonna say easier it was, but how prepared you were whenever you really like embraced the drag stuff and like put on your own shows. Like how prepared you were for what to expect.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even just for the process of getting ready, I treat it like an event. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's my timeline. I have to leave the house at 6 to get there by 7. So I need to start doing my makeup by 2. So I give myself comfort time. So that way, in case I mess up anything, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I need to start packing before I get into my makeup. And then, okay, cool. Now we're ready. Let's go to the show. So now it's like the same thing. It's like, I love checklists. So doing drag and producing shows and hosting shows, even working in shows, it's a checklist. And it's just, that constant work of you have to make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Because like you said, it's not just about dressing up and going out and dancing, lip syncing. It's getting those butts in the seats. It's make sure people are constantly coming back. It's make sure you're keeping fresh and you're being interesting. So that way people are enjoying you and want to come back for more, so.
No, absolutely. I mean, that makes complete sense. I can only imagine, especially with some of the opportunities you've been able to present, not just for yourself, but other opportunities that you've been able to be a part of. Like, it has to be a wild place to be in even in the first place. I'm genuinely curious. Can you think of some of the most surreal opportunities for you, whether it's, again, ones you've provided or ones you've been a part of since you've gotten into the drag world?
Oh my God, absolutely. Debbie Gibson, famous singer. I have an autograph picture of my poster from my drag queen story hour because she caught wind of it and was super supportive of it. And she sent me a signed autograph picture. So that's pretty cool. What else? Some unique things have I done? I've been on the front cover of the local paper 5 times in drag, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
Right. And I live in a very conservative county, so that's pretty cool to have that. I mean, also outside of drag, I've lived a very unique life because being an event planner, I did movie premieres, red carpets, things like that. So I've always been a step away from those, celebrity lifestyles or things like that, So I always like to say I live a very unique life because I want to live a very unique life, I grew up in Sleepy Hollow, New York, so being able to have that connection to Sleepy Hollow where my grandmother's buried in the cemetery on the side the Headless Horseman's on, little things like that. So not only in drag, but in life in general, there's so many unique situations that I run into. I kind of touched base earlier too with getting gifts of just from people I've met once and then seeing them again. They're like, you've just inspired me. You've, just made my child feel so loved. Here's a gift for, as just saying thank you. So I like to just say I live a unique life because I want to live a unique life. So I always try to be unique so unique things happen to me, right? What you do and what you put out will come back in tenfold. So
I mean, you certainly are a unique person, if I do say so myself, since I've had this conversation with you, both like with your real life, responsibilities as the event planner, but also like with Cookie, like the way you've really embraced it and the way you've really showcased it, and really again just had a blast with it in the first place. Like, I can only imagine like some of the opportunities you could have down the line, especially if you keep going forward with this thing.
Ooh, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Mama's gonna try. That's the goal, you
is,
know.
is there like a dream opportunity that like you would kill for? Like if you were to have the opportunity to like either work at a certain place or have a certain opportunity, like what would be the dream cookie dough like experience?
Ooh, I've always wanted to have my own like variety show, like All That or like
Ooh.
SNL, something like that, because I really love to do improv and I love like just being on the fly with things. And I just think it'd be like, especially like, because sometimes what I think about is like making little short videos, like similar to All That or things like that. So for me, it'd be like a little variety show or of some sort where, I could just have fun and entertain and just, be silly and goofy and come up and use my creativity and my art to be able to showcase what I want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what I can only think of some of the unique titles, especially if you want to go like, as cookie dough or whatnot, something like, shaking and bacon or what's cooking with cookie dough or something like that.
Oh, that's if I ever open my own dispensary. It's baked with cookie.
Yeah.
That's the outside of drag goal. I want to be a dispensary owner.
Well, I mean, speaking of cookie, like obviously I've talked about like the experience itself, but obviously like as the art aspect of it, I think I may have illustrated it earlier, but like you've been able to put forth some like really stunning designs as cookie dough. Like
Thank you.
I'm genuinely curious, what are some of your favorite like I don't want to say design, but what are some of like your favorite outfits or favorite looks? There you go. Some of the favorite looks that you're able to put forward.
My Barbie look for sure is my all-time favorite.
Yes.
And to be able to experience that, like I was hired to come in and play Barbie and just stand there so I didn't have to perform. And standing on the streets and all the children and all the adults being like, hi, Barbie, hi, Barbie. It was just so fun. But I also just felt like so beautiful in that. I just felt so glamorous and so real. And it's like my childhood of being like, always playing with Barbies and secretive, and then now being able to be my own version of my own Barbie was like an aha moment, because I was like, so real. I'm like my own Barbie, not a lot of people.
I mean,
not a lot of people get to that.
Exactly. I was gonna say, like, I mean, like, I certainly saw that look because I think it was one of the first ones I saw whenever I looked at your profile, and by God, you rocked it. Like, you nailed that look to a T, dotting all the I's and everything. Like, it was magnifique. It was chef's kiss.
Oh, thank you. Cookie best served is hot and juicy.
Hey, there you go. Like
stupid.
But hey, it's still catchy. I mean, that's the thing that I also like really appreciated with yourself, with how you've been able to present yourself, just kind of your branding, especially with this cookie dough thing. Like, I know you probably put a good bit of thought into this, but having like the places or like your merch store being like the bakery and stuff, I think you can easily agree with me whenever I say that you probably picked one of the better names in drag when it comes to cookie dough, just with the possibility of ways that you can present yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the whole reason I wanted to, because like I have to sell myself to make money. So how can I sell myself? The best way, how? Easy bake oven, baby. I grew up like literally joking with like, this is probably so mean, but like, like, people used to call me a faggot and shit like that and stuff like that. And I would just turn around and be like, yeah, well, at least I'm not easy like an easy bake oven.
Oh.
So the cookie has like, right? So the cookie's always been there. So it's always been like, I love creating things. So that's why it's just, I just hone into it. Everything I do has to have some kind of cookie term, feel, or touch to it. So,
I mean, and especially like you said earlier, with all the different kinds of cookies that are out there, like literally the puns alone are endless. I mean, goodness.
It's endless. Literally, please. I mean, I could be here all day. Where should I start? Z-Ray. No, I'm just
Well, I was gonna say, like, even right off the bat, like talking about the art aspect, when you're talking about like the drawing on the island or whatnot, you're just making a snickerdoodle. I mean,
yes, a snickerdoodle. You brilliant. Okay, after this, I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna use you as my marketing manager. That was brilliant.
Hey, you know what?
My message was right. That dick licker is good.
Okay, now just because you said that, I have to leave that story and just so that bit makes sense.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Oh, bravo. Well, I mean, like, look, I'm a person that appreciates a good pun. So anytime that I can see that, like, someone like yourself is truly embracing it with the puns and stuff, like, it just makes sense, you know?
It's so fun. I mean, it's like, let's just have fucking fun, man. Like, life is too serious. We have to work. We have to pay our bills. We have to live. We have to survive. Let's just have some fun, please. Like, that's what this world needs, is more and more fun.
Absolutely. Now, I kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but I want to like get a little bit more nitty gritty with this question because you were talking about like some of the surreal opportunities that you've had because of drag. But I'm wondering, obviously, what happens because of drag and what happens in a drag show can be two different things sometimes. So I'm curious for you, is there a particular moment in a show that you were able to perform at that will forever like resonate with you, whether because of how impactful it was or just because of how funny the situation was?
Ooh, what show resonates with me? I would have to say a show that resonated with me. I'm going to say shows, multiple, but when I do my shows at the Lunar Fair, those are very, like, it's an out-of-world experience because A, we're performing under either a full moon or a new moon, so those energies alone are there. And then B, you add in thousands of people at the fair, and then you have hundreds of people watching you in drag, in dirt, in grass, in gravel. They don't care. They're there to watch you live your life. And so Lunar Fair's always so magical to me. I mean, that is just standing. I think the most I've ever had at a show was almost like 600 people.
Ooh.
Like just standing around watching drag queens perform and just listening to me talk, listening to me, put on a whole show for an hour. So the Lunar Fair is my favorite experience thus far. And it always sticks out because it does so much to me. It regrounds me. It heals me. It makes me feel it and want it more. Because after leaving the Lunar Fair show, I'm like, yes, let's do more drag. Come on, let's keep going. Like, yes, oh my God, they ate me alive. They loved it. They wanted more. I mean, damn, Cookie, keep serving that shit.
I mean, as Cookie Doe, people like to keep snacking on it, even when they're not supposed to,
That's the best part about a cookie. You can't, once you pop, the fun don't stop.
Exactly. There we go. That's a wonderful way to look at it. Now, I'm also genuinely curious because obviously you've talked very positively when it comes to drag and all these experiences. I'm genuinely curious, like, where do you think, like, I can only imagine how impactful drag is for you. Like, I can imagine it's probably even rough at this point to imagine, like, what would the world be like, or what would your world be like if you hadn't involved yourself in drag?
Ugh, boring.
It's a good
mundane,
start.
Basic, Christian? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Jesus. I'm joking.
Amen. I mean, no, yeah, I would be, working on, I don't know what my life would be. I'd probably still be doing like event planning and working like 16 plus hour days, like just making sure everyone's happy and everything looks good and making sure everyone's, I'd still be in the entertainment business. It would be either in front or behind, backstage or front of stage. So that's probably where I would be if I didn't have drag in my life. Because I gotta have fun. I have to have an interesting career. I have to have an interesting life. I can't just live such a mundane way.
I mean, you certainly seem like someone that is having fun with this. Like, just thinking back, even like listening to your story and thinking back as a whole, like all the way back when your art journey started with your parents introducing to your stuff, like it has to more or less amaze you the journey you've come along, both as an artist and as a drag queen, right?
Oh, 100%. It sometimes like freaks me out talking about my experiences in my life, not only like in and out of drag, because of like all the uniqueness that I have, that sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, she just like, people probably think like she's just making that up to make herself seem cool. It's very weird, but I'm very blessed and I'm grateful for the experiences that I have, because it's just, one after another. Once one door closes, another door opens. Once one door closes, it's just constant. And that's what I want to do. And that's what it's the universe is telling me I need to keep working at this and keep doing what I need to so that way I can keep becoming the best version of myself and really hone in on my skills and really do what I'm meant to do. I really feel like drag has been my purpose in life. I do feel like it's my life calling because it's just, I can remember even when I was young, standing on the side. My mom had this long, my parents had we had a patio and then steps that went down the side and then a long walkway. And I would just spend hours out there on the walkway, making outfits out of sheets, playing superheroes, doing whatever, you know, being a reporter. I remember calling myself Michelle the reporter. I'm like, I'm here on the crime scene, blah, 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 you know, just having fun. So, you know, it is what it is.
I'm just thinking, like, especially the way you kind of presented, just the reporter is like, "Hi, I'm slaying here on the murder scene where someone has been slain."
Literally, yep, 100%, absolutely death trap. No.
Goodness. Well, I mean, we've been talking a lot, obviously, about like the incredible art you've been able to immerse yourself in, especially this unique world that, you know, in my opinion, obviously deserves a lot more love and support. That's why I wanted to have you on.
Amen. Yeah.
But with this next question, if I may, why don't I go a little bit above and beyond and ask you more or less the dream scenario? I know I kind of asked this, but maybe, you know, we can go a little higher with this one. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to him like, look, Cookie, we know you can absolutely slay with whatever opportunity that we present to you. I mean, as we can tell from how you look right now, you're doing a good job keeping that, you know, mentality more than anything else. We have access to anyone and everyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We really should be paying those actors at this point. I mean, they've been striking for a while. We'll focus on them in a little bit. Right now, we are focusing on you and you alone. Spotlight on you. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Cookie Doe project?
What? Well, first we're gonna make sure those actors and writers all get their money before I do.
Absolutely.
Because they've business long before I have. But what would my dream what would I love to do? I mean, honestly, I would love to be on like TV of some sort. I would love to do like some kind of, whether it's my own TV show or on some kind of TV show. Wow, I've never really thought about what I wanted my dream opportunity to be. I'm always just like, I just want to perform and have fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to be able to go out and be like, hey, what's up? Are you ready to have a good time? Let's party. So ideally too, I mean, ooh, that's so tough. You stumped me here.
I try to ask very interesting questions at the very least.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I would have to say TV. I would love to be on TV. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. TV.
I mean, I know you kind of emphasized it earlier with having your own like Cookie Doe variety show. I think that'd be a very interesting thing to see. Yeah,
you know, I think it'd be fun, like with other drag queens, and the whole thing is like just campy, stupid little short bits or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because like especially nowadays, like the only, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like at least the main form that anyone sees drag show of any kind on TV is RuPaul's Drag Race. So like having an opportunity to have that being showcased not in a competition format, but in a fun comedy hour kind of situation, the possibilities are endless, especially with what you guys are able to do as drag queens, like really presenting yourselves.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's watching RuPaul. That's when I fall in love with most of these queens is during those little skits and musical numbers and things like that, because I really love to see the realness of people. I like to see the rawness of it. I don't want to see the well put together, look how beautiful I am, because guess what? Money and all that can make you look as beautiful as you want, but it's that personality, it's that creativity, or should I say that charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent that will make somebody the best of the best.
See what you did right there.
I didn't do it. RuPaul did.
I
That's
know
not me.
RuPaul. I know RuPaul did that, but still. And I just gotta say, like, yeah, no, especially when it comes to like the drag race and stuff like that. Like, obviously, you know, most of the drag queens do a great job really looking stunning, but especially like the comedy bits. Like, I know a lot of people fell in love with like Jigs Monsoon, like because of how she was able to present herself in some of the like the improv bits or whatnot. Like, it's
I mean, and also she's brilliant. She's so quick-witted, and she's always on. She does it effortlessly.
Yes.
I think that's why she's so top tier drag, is because she's effortless.
They are someone that I would kill to have on the podcast, just have a conversation with them.
Oh my God. I would kill just to like fucking hold their hand for a second, please. Just be in their presence, something. Oh my God. I would love to do it all.
Yeah, you would kill to hold their hand. That's why you have the reporter on the scene talking about the site. You're holding their hands.
It's all coming back to me. It's all coming back.
But sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
Hopefully with better wigs.
Start. Not that your wigs aren't bad, but I mean,
no, of course not. I want more, and I want different ones, and there's always room to grow. Trust and believe. You can't see the whole cookie jar right now, but there's so much room for wigs.
I didn't realize that's what you called. That's what you called your space, the cookie jar. That's brilliant.
Yes, and I actually have a sticker above my door as I leave my room. My cookie jar, it says fresh baked.
There you go.
Yeah. But 5 to 10 years, I want to be able to have my sewing skills under absolute perfection. Okay. So that way what's in my head, I can start creating and not relying on other people, because yes, it's great to have other people be able to do things like that, but sometimes they don't get the image exactly the way we want it. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to do that. But also growing up, my grandmother was a big sewer, so I spent a lot of time watching her sew, and we've made a few outfits together, sewn together. So I really like that because I want that to be engraved in my life somehow. But also 5 years, I'm hoping that I have more shows produced, and I'm doing bigger and better shows, even better than I will be doing bigger and better shows than I am now. And I'm hoping to be not only continue working in the tri-state area, but hopefully across the globe.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, if you ever make a trek down to Georgia, let me know. I'd be more than happy to show up to one of your shows.
Actually, I'll be in Georgia around Thanksgiving.
Hey, okay. I'll definitely...
I can do a one-woman show for you if you want.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. But before we divulge into that, if I may, as we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you. Obviously, you've been deeply entrenched in art for ages now. Like I said, it was something that you were more or less like raised into at this point. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
The most important thing in the world. Art is in the word earth. Art is in the word heart. Art is in the word. It is so important to us. It is so important to to have creativity, to express yourself, to be able to do unique things. Because guess what? Creativity and art created a lot of things we use these days. A tire, a house, a car. Those are artistic things that people frowned upon at one point. And oh, what are you doing wasting your time with that metal? You're not going to be able to make a drive. Now look at us. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look back and see that everything before it was accepted used to be hated because people now are fully acknowledged about it. It goes with art too. But art is constantly pushed out because it's so broad and that people feel like there's not a way to live off of that. But the way to live is what they're referring to as a societal way of just working the 9 to 5, paying your bills, and that's it. I think there's more to life, and with art, I think it's going to be able to create a bigger and better world for us, and a world that is more designed and designated to our true human selves and not what society or religion wants from us.
That is beautifully worded, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
Cookie, that is all the questions that I have for you. I've already showered you with a bunch of praise, but I'll shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want.
Oh, I love it. But wait, before we go, I have 25 questions for you.
Okay, go. look, it wouldn't be the first time someone's asked questions for me on the podcast. All right? No, but
all right, I'm like 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Cookie's podcast today. We're here with. No, I'm just
freaking like I'm sure we could think of like some interesting name like the Cookie Cast or something like that if you were to have a
Oh
podcast.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, like, that could be the freshly baked with Cookie Doe thing or whatnot.
Yes, exactly. Right. We'll figure something out. We'll get my own podcast.
But
I think I'm gonna do more YouTube.
there you go. That's a good start. But back to what I was originally going to say. Cookie, like I said, I only recently heard about you and what you've been able to put forward, but ever since I really got to immerse myself in just a short amount of time, I've been nothing short of amazed. Like once again, the way you promote yourself, the way you present yourself, like I can tell there's a lot of love, passion, and confidence in what you're doing with this field. Like it's a truly unique art form that I am more than happy to talk about. I definitely want to bring more drag artists on this podcast, and I'm glad that you were the first one to do so because I think you set an incredible standard for drag queens in general with like really embracing who you are, really turning what your personality is, you yourself, turning that up to the fullest and really going out there showcasing what confidence you have for whatever situation, good or bad, and really just putting out a fun time for everyone to be involved with. Like I truly love and appreciate that despite the adversity that society wants to put on you, like you're just going out there and just having a good time. And that really shows in everything that you do. And especially getting the opportunity to sit down and talk to you, get to really learn your story. Like I truly have a great level of love and appreciation for you and what you do. And I sincerely am excited to see what you're going to be doing next because I can only imagine how exciting and how fun it can be. Like I want to see that Cookie Doe cookie show, whatever you want to do. Like I want to see like those opportunities. I want to see you have opportunities with other incredible drag queens and like the interactions and fun you guys can present. Like it just makes me excited for what's next for you. So, I mean, at the end of the day, thank you for what you do. Keep up the incredible work. And sincerely, thank you for putting yourself out there. I know, especially in today's world, it's not the easiest thing to do, but the fact that you're doing such a fantastic job with it is incredible, and it makes me excited for what's possible with the future of drag.
Thank you so much for those sweet words. I mean, right there is the whole reason why I do it. I mean, we spent all of an hour together, and you can see, like, you already know who I am, and that's why I always try to be just open and honest with everybody, because at the end of the day, I want people to like me for me. Yeah. And I appreciate all those sweet words, and I'm very honored to be the first drag queen ever featured on the podcast.
Certainly the first, but hopefully not the last. But I mean, hey, like I said, you really set a good standard for all those that have to follow suit, you know?
Yeah, hey, that's the best part about being Cookie. We set the bar high.
There you go. There you go. Now, for those that might be curious on, why I'm giving all this praise to you or whatnot, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
Yes, of course. You can find me on Instagram at morecookiePlease_. And that's all I really use.
That's fair. I mean, you also have your incredible merch shop with those wonderful designs as well on Teespring, so I'll be sure to lead people that way. Oh, your mic cut out. Oh, there you go. Okay, it's back. I don't know why your mic... A second. Talk for a second. What did you...
Matt!
Okay. Oh, okay. 1 second. I heard you for a second there, but...
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you can find me at morecookiePlease_ on Instagram, and my LinkedIn tree link tree is /morecookiePlease as well, which my merch is there and everything else.
And if you miss any link though, I can see I'll still have all those links in the description below. I got you covered more than anything else.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Of course, what I'd like to leave everybody with is just a little sweet crumb, and that is to stay sweet and don't get crumbled.
Amen to that. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, pay your artists. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, it genuinely warms my heart to see you stick around this long. Like I said in the intro, this was certainly quite the conversation, and I knew going into it, like especially talking to Cookie, I knew that going into it, it was going to be an interesting conversation, one way or another. Cookie, if you've made it up to this point, sincerely, thank you for your time, especially on such short notice. You were fantastic. You were stunning. The outfit really surprised me. I appreciate it to all different fronts. And for those that did listen, I sincerely hope that whether the conversation was joyful or serious, you sincerely enjoyed. Some people might think that the serious conversation about drag was like a little political stance. And the truth is, when it comes to the podcast, I don't want to get political. That's just not what this podcast is about. This podcast is supposed to be partially an escape for people. Let them kind of into the world of their favorite artists and let them truly immerse themselves in the incredible art that they have to produce. But, sometimes I bring on an artist to where, for the conversation that we have to talk about, you can't just dance around the topic. You can't dance around certain issues. I could go into detail about how I feel about certain political issues, but that's not what I'm here for. But whenever the guest that I bring on has something important that they need to say about the thing that they do and the thing that helps them creatively drive them forward, I can't say no to it. I can't silence their voice. It is their voice. I just want you guys to know that I do support Cookie. I support the drag scene. That is something that I think is absolutely incredible. It gives so many people an opportunity to truly express themselves, and the people that are just trying to use scare tactics to drive people away from it should not exist. Like, those arguments should not exist. Like I said in the episode, if you're going to be taking your kids to the movies, you're not going to obviously take them to some gore fest or some like XXX movie. You're going to take the time to make sure that you're doing right by your kid. And if you think taking them to some drag show in a bar is going to be the best entertainment for a kid, again, I have serious questions for you. All I'm trying to say at the end of the day is, no matter what the situation is, if it helps a person creatively express themselves, I want to help them support that. And drag is a major, major way for a lot of people to truly express themselves. And I know I said in the episode that this was the first time I've had a drag queen on the podcast, but I'm going to promise you this is not going to be the last time. If nothing else, my mom has been recommending me a drag queen that I have been forgetting to bring on this podcast. When that happens, I'll be sure to address it in the intro. But like I said, like, for these people, this is not just, a fun thing for them. This is a way to truly express themselves to the fullest, and we need to show love and support for that. We need to make sure that those people that are trying to ruin that creativity, that their voices are not the loudest in the room. The loudest voices needs to be the people that are truly expressing themselves to the fullest and having the most fun that they can at the end of the day. If you guys don't like that opinion about me, that's fine. This is just what I think. And to be honest, this is probably the most I'll ever get when it comes to, political, serious topics and stuff. Because at the end of the day, these are people trying to be themselves. Let people be themselves. Let people express themselves. Love these people. Support these people. Let that passion grow for these people. Please show that love and support to those amazing people today.